Before the spandex, before the hairspray, before MTV dictated the new gods of rock, there was a decade of sonic alchemy. The songs born in this decade were not mere recordings. They were foundational texts, monolithic slabs of sound that would be studied, worshipped, and built upon for generations to come. Here are the 20 heavy metal songs from 70s we'll never forget. 1. Ted Nugent, Stranglehold.
Yeah, come again now, baby, like a talking head.
From the wilds of Detroit, a primal scream echoes. Stranglehold isn't so much a song as it is a swaggering, hypnotic groove that sinks its teeth into you and refuses to let go for 8.5 glorious minutes. Opening with one of the most recognizable bass lines in rock history, the track builds an incredible sense of tension. Ted Nugent's guitar doesn't just play a riff. It prowls, it growls, it teases, before finally erupting in a solo that's less a structured piece of music and more a cathartic, feedback-drenched exorcism. From the album Ted Nugent, this was the song that defined the Motor City Madman. While Nugent himself only sings a few menacing lines, the star is undeniably his Gibson Birdland guitar. He uses it to create a landscape of sound, a testament to the power of a single, sustained groove. It's a song that feels dangerous, a raw and unfiltered display of rock and roll machismo that became a staple of FM radio and a rite of passage for air guitarists everywhere. Interestingly, the iconic lead guitar solo was reportedly recorded in a single take. Nugent, fueled by pure adrenaline, plugged in and let loose, creating a spontaneous masterpiece of controlled chaos. Stranglehold is unforgettable because it's a mood, a statement of intent, proving that sometimes the heaviest thing you can do is lock into a groove and ride it into oblivion. While Nugent's anthem was a celebration of primal power, our next song is a cry of confusion and alienation from a shock rock pioneer who blurred the lines between horror and adolescent angst. 2. Alice Cooper, I'm 18. Before the guillotines, before the snakes and the ghoulish makeup became a global phenomenon, Alice Cooper was a band, and I'm 18 was their breakthrough anthem of frustration. Released as a single in 1970, the song captured a feeling that had never quite been articulated in rock before. That bewildering, terrifying, and exhilarating limbo between being a kid and being an adult. It's a raw garage rock dirge, driven by a simple, descending guitar riff, and Vincent Furnier's The Man Who Would Become Alice Cooper's snarling, desperate vocals. I'm in the middle of life. I'm a boy and I'm a man. Those lines became a rallying cry for a generation of teenagers who felt misunderstood and out of place. The song's genius lies in its raw simplicity. It's not technically flashy, but it's emotionally devastatingly accurate. It's the sound of a garage band channeling all their suburban boredom and confusion into 3 minutes of ragged glory. Coming from the album Love It to Death, this was the track that put Alice Cooper on the map and established them as the Dark Princes of rock. Did you know that when he first heard the song, legendary punk rocker John Lydon Johnny Rotten of the S-Pistols thought it was one of the greatest things he had ever heard? He would later audition for the Pistols by singing along to I'm 18 at a jukebox, proving the song's profound influence on the punk rock movement that would explode later in the decade. It's an unforgettable anthem because it gave a voice to the voiceless. From the confusion of being 18, we now head to the rock and roll capital of the world for a high-octane celebration of a city and the sound it birthed. 3. Kiss, Detroit Rock City. It begins not with a guitar riff, but with a story. The sound of a car radio, a news report about a fatal accident, the roar of an engine, then the explosion of one of the most iconic twin guitar harmonies in rock history. Detroit Rock City is not just a song. It's a 4-minute rock and roll movie. Taken from their legendary 1976 album, Destroyer, this was Kiss at the absolute peak of their theatrical powers. It's a song about the pilgrimage to a rock concert, a tribute to their fans and the city that first embraced them. The track is a masterclass in arrangement. From its narrative intro to its frantic, powerful verses and the soaring, melodic chorus, Every second is designed for maximum impact. Paul Stanley's vocals are a commanding call to arms, while the guitar work of Ace Frehley and Stanley weaves a complex tapestry of riffs and harmonies. It's a surprisingly dark and sophisticated song for a band often accused of simple party rock, telling a tragic story of a fan who dies on his way to a show. Our next song also tells a story of a wild night out, but it trades theatrical bombast for the smooth, soulful swagger of a legendary Irish poet. 4. Thin Lizzy. The Boys Are Back in Town. That opening twin guitar lick is pure joy. It's the sound of sunshine, friendship, and the promise of an epic night. The Boys Are Back in Town is less a heavy metal song and more a perfect rock and roll anthem, but its influence on the genre, particularly through its pioneering use of dual-lead guitar harmonies, is immeasurable. From the 1976 album Jailbreak, this was the song that made Irish rockers Thin Lizzy international superstars. At its heart, the song is a celebration of camaraderie. Phil Lynot's lyrics are a masterclass in storytelling, painting a vivid picture of a gang of charismatic rogues returning to their old haunts, ready to cause some trouble. His vocal delivery is impossibly cool, a smooth, soulful narrative that makes you feel like you're right there with them at Dino's Bar and Grill. The interplay between guitarists Scott Gorham and Brian Robertson is legendary, their harmonized lines weaving in and out of the song, creating a sound that was both tough and incredibly melodic. From a joyous reunion of friends, we now descend into a dreamlike world of existential dread, guided by a mesmerizing riff that became an unlikely radio staple. 5. Blue Oyster Cult, Don't Fear the Shirt, The Reaper. It's one of the most instantly recognizable guitar intros in all of music. That shimmering, arpeggiated riff, created by guitarist Donald "Buck" Dharma Roser, is hypnotic, mysterious, and oddly comforting. Don't Fear the Reaper, from the album Agents of Fortune, is a song that defies easy categorization. Is it pop? Is it psychedelic rock? Is it metal? The answer is yes. It's a perfect, haunting masterpiece that became Blue Oyster Cult's signature song and a permanent fixture on classic rock radio. With its smooth, multi-tracked vocals and lyrics that contemplate love, death, and eternity, the song has an ethereal, otherworldly quality. It's a philosophical pop song masquerading as a rock anthem. The controversial lyrics, which some misinterpreted as encouraging self-harm, are actually a meditation on eternal love and the inevitability of death, a message that love can transcend the physical realm. The song's famous midsection, with its eerie guitar solo, only adds to its spooky, dreamlike atmosphere. While our last song was an ethereal pop masterpiece, our next is a blistering showcase of neoclassical guitar wizardry from a German band on the verge of a creative breakthrough. 6. Scorpions, The Sails of Karen. Scorpions. For many, the Scorpions are the kings of the power ballad. But before Rock You Like a Hurricane and Wind of Change, they were a formidable heavy rock machine, and their secret weapon was the prodigious guitarist Uli Jon Roth. The Sails of Charon, from the 1977 album Taken by Force, is perhaps the ultimate showcase of Roth's genius. The song is built around an incredible, hypnotic, Middle Eastern-flavored riff that is both exotic and crushingly heavy. This is not a simple rock song. It's a journey. The track builds from its mesmerizing main riff into a showcase for Roth's neoclassical, Hendrix-inspired soloing. His playing is fluid, fast, and full of a fiery passion that sounds like it's barely being contained. Klaus Meine's vocals are powerful and soaring, telling a mythic tale that perfectly matches the epic scope of the music. This was the sound of a band operating on a higher musical plane, pushing the boundaries of what a hard rock song could be. The song's influence is immense. Many guitarists, including Kirk Hammett of Metallica, have cited Uli Jon Roth's playing on this track as a major inspiration. Fascinatingly, the American version of the album had a much shorter, edited version of the song, robbing listeners of the full instrumental majesty. To hear The Sails of Karen in its complete, unedited form is to hear a master guitarist at the absolute peak of his powers, creating a timeless piece of proto-metal art. From the neoclassical fire of Germany, we journey to Wales for an oddball anthem so heavy and frantic that it would be reborn decades later in the hands of the biggest metal band in the world. 7. Budgie, Bread Fan. It starts with one of the most savage and unforgettable riffs of the 1970s. It's fast, it's aggressive, and it sounds like a runaway train about to fly off the rails. Then, just as you're locked into the headbanging frenzy, the song slams on the brakes and shifts into a gentle, melodic, almost jazzy interlude before roaring back to life. This is the brilliantly schizophrenic nature of Budgie's Bread Fan. From their 1973 album, Never Turn Your Back on a Friend, it's a prime example of this quirky Welsh power trio's unique genius. With Burke Shelley's high-pitched yelp and Tony Burgess' inventive riff-centric guitar work, Budgie created a sound that was all their own. Bread Fan is their quintessential track, a song that crams more ideas into 5 minutes than most bands manage in an entire album. The lyrics, a cynical take on the corrupting influence of money, add a layer of intelligence to the musical chaos. It's a song that is simultaneously heavy, complex, and catchy as hell. Of course, for a generation of younger fans, Bread Fan is known primarily as a Metallica song. Metallica's Powerhouse cover, released as a B-side in 1988, was a faithful and loving tribute that introduced the Welsh legends to millions of new listeners. But to hear the original is to appreciate the sheer, bonkers creativity that defined Budgie. It's unforgettable because it breaks all the rules, proving that heavy music could be both punishing and playful at the same time. Our next track also features a mind-bending shift in tempo, centered around one of the most legendary guitar solos ever laid down by a teenage phenom from Germany. 8. UFO, Rock Bottom. The main riff is pure, driving, hard rock perfection. But that's not what makes Rock Bottom an immortal classic. What makes it unforgettable is the extended instrumental section that occupies the song's second half, a sprawling, breathtaking showcase for the band's then 19-year-old guitar virtuoso, Michael Schenker. From the album Phenomenon, this was the song that announced the arrival of a new guitar god and established UFO as a premier force in 70s rock. The song starts as a straightforward, high-energy rocker, with Phil Mogg's classic vocals telling a tale of hitting the skids. It's a great song in its own right, but at the 2:50 mark, it transforms. The tempo changes, the mood shifts, and Schenker takes over. For the next 3.5 minutes, he delivers a solo that is a masterwork of melody, speed, and raw emotion. It's not just shredding, it's a perfectly composed piece of music, full of memorable phrases and breathtaking runs, played with a tone on his Gibson Flying 5 that is simply divine. This song became the centerpiece of UFO's legendary live shows, often extended to epic lengths as Schenker would improvise and expand on the solo. It's a rite of passage for aspiring rock guitarists and has been cited as an influence by everyone from Kirk Hammett to Randy Rhoads. Rock Bottom is a classic because it's the sound of a young genius unleashed, a moment where a great rock song becomes a transcendent piece of musical art. While UFO's classic was defined by a legendary solo, our next entry is a song that isn't really a song at all, but a 2-minute volcanic eruption that changed the sound of the electric guitar forever. 9. Van Halen, Eruption, it's the sound of a revolution. When Van Halen's self-titled debut album was released in 1978, the track Eruption was a shot heard round the world. It wasn't a song with verses and choruses. It was a 1-minute and 42-second instrumental declaration that the rulebook for rock guitar had just been set on fire. It begins with a flurry of noise and feedback before launching into a display of speed, fury, and technical innovation that was simply alien to most listeners at the time. At the center of it all was Eddie Van Halen and his Frankenstrat guitar. He didn't just play the guitar, he attacked it, creating sounds that nobody had ever heard before. The dive bombs, the harmonics, and of course the stunning two-handed tapping technique showcased in the solo's final section were a complete game changer. It was the sound of the future, delivered with a punk rock energy and a joyous, infectious swagger. Interestingly, Eruption was never intended to be a track on the album. It started as a warm-up exercise that Eddie would play in clubs. Producer Ted Templeman overheard him playing it in the studio, was blown away, and insisted they record it. Eddie quickly knocked out a couple of takes, and a piece of rock history was born by accident. Eruption is unforgettable because it's a pure, distilled moment of genius that single-handedly redefined the boundaries of its instrument. From a volcanic eruption of pure technique, we now journey to a mystical land of fantasy and epic ambition, a song so grand it required an entire orchestra to realize its vision. 10. Rainbow Stargazer. This is not just a song, it's an epic poem set to music. Stargazer, the centerpiece of Rainbow's 1976 masterpiece Rising, is one of the most ambitious and majestic pieces of music in the heavy metal canon. It tells the story of a wizard enslaving a population to build a stone tower from which he can fly to the stars, only to fall and die. It's a tale of hubris and magic, brought to life by the commanding, powerful vocals of Ronnie James Dio. The music, driven by Ritchie Blackmore's exotic, Egyptian-flavored riff, is equally grand. The track features the Munich Philharmonic Orchestra, adding a layer of symphonic bombast that was unprecedented for a heavy rock band at the time. But the song's most jaw-dropping moment belongs to drummer Cozy Powell, whose thunderous, powerful drumming, especially during the iconic drum intro, provides the song with its colossal foundation. The entire 8.5-minute piece is a journey, building in intensity until its tragic, epic climax. The creation of the song was as ambitious as the song itself. Blackmore reportedly wanted a sound that was both heavy and classical, and the use of a real orchestra rather than a mellotron was crucial to achieving that vision. Stargazer is unforgettable because it's the perfect synthesis of heavy metal power and symphonic grandeur, a benchmark for epic fantasy metal that has rarely been equaled. Our next song is also an ambitious, multi-part epic, but it trades swords and sorcery for a dystopian future world ruled by tyrannical priests. 11. Rush, 2112. It begins with an overture of swirling synthesizers and crashing power chords, a grand statement of intent before a single word is sung. The 20-minute title track from Rush's 1976 album 2112 is the song that saved their career and established them as the undisputed kings of progressive metal. It's a sprawling, 7-part suite that tells the story of an individual in a dystopian future who discovers an ancient guitar and the lost art of music, only to be rejected by the ruling priests of the temples of Syrinx. Driven by Neil Peart's intricate, philosophical lyrics inspired by the works of Ayn Rand, 2112 is a staggering musical achievement. Geddy Lee's bass playing is a lead instrument in its own right. Alex Lifeson's guitar work ranges from delicate acoustic passages to blistering solos, and Peart's drumming is a masterclass in precision and power. From the frantic energy of Overture to the desperate wail of Geddy Lee in the temples of Syrinx, the song is a roller coaster of emotion and musical virtuosity. The band's record label had pressured them to write shorter, more commercial songs after the poor sales of their previous album. Instead, Rush doubled down on their progressive ambitions, creating their magnum opus as an act of defiance. It was a massive gamble that paid off, earning them a legion of devoted fans and the creative freedom to follow their own path for the rest of their career. 2012 is unforgettable because it is a fearless and brilliant monument to individualism and the power of music itself. From a 20-minute epic that defined progressive metal, we now jump to a frantic 2-minute blast of pure adrenaline that predicted the future of thrash metal by a decade. 12. Queen, Stone Cold Crazy. It's a breathless, frantic 2-minute and 13-second assault. Released on their 1974 album Sheer Heart Attack, Stone Cold Crazy is Queen at their heaviest and fastest. Long before thrash metal was a genre, this song contained all of its key ingredients: lightning fast, down-picked riffing, blistering speed, and aggressive, rapid-fire vocals. It's a chaotic story of a gangster's paranoid fantasies delivered by Freddie Mercury with a punk rock snarl. The song is a marvel of compressed energy. Brian May's guitar riff is a machine gun blast of notes, and the rhythm section of John Deacon and Roger Taylor provides a relentless, driving pulse. There's not an ounce of fat on the track. It's pure, distilled aggression. In the context of Queen's eclectic and often polished catalog, Stone Cold Crazy stands out as a raw and ferocious anomaly, a tantalizing glimpse of a much heavier band. The song's origins actually date back to Freddie Mercury's pre-Queen band, Wreckage. However, it was the full force of Queen, with their incredible musicianship and studio prowess, that turned it into the proto-thrash masterpiece we know today. Metallica would later record a famous cover of the song, winning a Grammy for their performance and acknowledging its profound influence. Stone Cold Crazy is unforgettable because it's a shocking, brilliant burst of speed from an unexpected source, a song so far ahead of its time that the world is still catching up. From the band that would be kings of proto-thrash, we turn to the man who would be god of proto-punk, and the song that became the blueprint for a whole new level of speed and aggression. 13. Motorhead, Overkey. That opening drum pattern is one of the most iconic sounds in metal. The relentless, thundering double bass assault from drummer Phil "Filthy Animal" Taylor isn't just a beat. It's a statement of intent. It's the sound of Motorhead, and it's the sound of Overkey. The title track from their 1979 album is a pure shot of adrenaline, a runaway freight train of a song that bulldozed the line between heavy metal and punk rock. With Lemmy Kilmister's gravel-throated roar and his signature distorted Rickenbacker bass tone, Fast Eddie Clarke's greasy blues-on-methamphetamine guitar playing, and Filthy's revolutionary drumming, Motorhead created a sound that was loud, fast, and utterly uncompromising. Overkey is the perfect distillation of that sound. The lyrics, "Only way to feel the noise is when it's good and loud," are less a lyric sheet and more a life philosophy. The song is famous for its false endings, with the band stopping and then crashing back in twice, each time with more intensity, as if the song itself is too powerful to be contained. This structure became a signature part of their live shows, driving audiences into a frenzy. Overkey is not just unforgettable, it's foundational. It laid the groundwork for speed metal, thrash metal, and 1,000 other genres built on pure, unadulterated velocity and attitude. While Motorhead was bringing punk energy to metal, our next band was infusing their hard rock with a funky, swaggering groove that would make them America's biggest rock band. 14. Aerosmith, Back in the Saddle. It begins with the sound of a whip cracking and galloping hoofbeats, before a slow, menacing, and impossibly groovy bass line from Tom Hamilton kicks in. Back in the Saddle, the opening track from Aerosmith's 1976 masterpiece Rocks, is the sound of a band at the absolute peak of their powers. It's a slow-burn epic of cowboy bravado and intimate innuendo, a perfect showcase for the band's signature blend of hard rock, blues, and funk. The song is a masterclass in dynamics, building from its sparse, atmospheric intro into a thunderous, riff-heavy monster. Steven Tyler's vocals are a tour de force, from his low growl in the verses to the blood-curdling, triumphant scream he unleashes at the end. The dueling guitars of Joe Perry and Brad Whitford are raw and gritty, creating a sound that is both sophisticated and street tough. Rocks is often cited as one of the greatest hard rock albums ever made, influencing everyone from Guns N' Roses to Metallica, and Back in the Saddle is its crown jewel. Interestingly, the iconic 6-string bass that creates the song's main riff was something Joe Perry found lying around the studio. He and Tom Hamilton worked out the part, creating a sound that was unique and instantly recognizable. The song is an unforgettable statement of power and resilience, the sound of a band planting their flag and declaring themselves kings of the mountain. From the cowboy swagger of America's finest, we journey to the industrial heartland of England for a dark, sprawling epic that would define the very essence of heavy metal drama. 15. Judas Priest, Victim of Changes. This is more than a song. It's an 8-minute heavy metal opera. Victim of Changes from Judas Priest's 1976 album Sad Wings of Destiny is a monumental track that showcases everything that made the band legendary. It begins with a slow, mournful twin guitar harmony before exploding into one of the heaviest and most menacing riffs of the decade. The song is a journey through light and shade, from moments of quiet despair to explosions of raw, metallic fury. At the center of it all is the astonishing vocal performance of Rob Halford. His range is simply breathtaking, from a venomous snarl to a gentle whisper, all the way up to the terrifying, glass-shattering scream that closes out the song's epic midsection. The dueling guitars of K.K. Downing and Glenn Tipton created the template for heavy metal guitar teams, their intricate solos and harmonies becoming a hallmark of the genre. Our next anthem is a simple, defiant, and gloriously fun declaration of intent from a band that was about to take over the world. 16. AC/DC, Highway to Hell. It's 3 chords and the truth. The opening guitar riff of Highway to Hell is one of the most iconic, primal, and perfect sounds in the history of rock and roll. It's simple, it's powerful, and it's instantly recognizable from the very first note. The title track from AC/DC's 1979 breakthrough album, this was the song that took them from being a popular rock band to global superstars. This was Bon Scott's ultimate anthem. His witty, rebellious lyrics are a gleeful, tongue-in-cheek ode to the rigors and temptations of life on the road, delivered with his signature gravelly smirk. The genius of AC/DC lies in their simplicity and power. There are no flashy solos or complex arrangements here, just the rock-solid foundation of Malcolm Young's rhythm guitar, the thundering rhythm section of Cliff Williams and Phil Rudd, and the bluesy, firecracker leads of Angus Young. It's a perfectly constructed rock song, stripped down to its absolute essential elements. From a highway to hell, we now travel to the shores of Lake Geneva for a song born from a real-life fire, based on a riff so simple and so perfect, it's often the first one every aspiring guitarist learns. 17. Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water, Dum Dum Dum, Dum Dum Da Dum. It is, without question, the riff. Ritchie Blackmore's 4-note blues scale masterpiece, played on his Fender Stratocaster, is more than just a part of a song. It's a piece of our collective cultural DNA. Smoke on the Water, from the seminal 1972 album Machine Head, is one of the most famous rock songs of all time, a true story of rock and roll chaos set to an unforgettable groove. The lyrics, sung by the powerful Ian Gillan, tell the true story of the band watching from their hotel as the Montreux Casino in Switzerland burned to the ground during a Frank Zappa concert. Some stupid with a flare gun burned the place to the ground. It's a work of on-the-spot journalism capturing a moment of genuine danger and mayhem. The song is a testament to the incredible chemistry of the Deep Purple Mark II lineup, from John Lord's swirling Hammond organ to the locked-in rhythm section of Roger Glover and Ian Pace. Our next song also draws its power from a real-world location, but it trades a burning casino for the majestic, unforgiving deserts of North Africa. 18. Led Zeppelin, Kashmir. This is not a song, it's an incantation. From the moment that monumental, cyclical, and hypnotic main riff begins, you are transported. Kashmir, from Led Zeppelin's 1975 double album Physical Graffiti, is one of the band's most ambitious and powerful achievements. It's a colossal 8.5-minute epic that builds a world of sound driven by John Bonham's thunderous, metronomic drumming. The track is a masterpiece of texture and layering. Jimmy Page's main riff, played in a dadgad tuning, is brilliantly simple but endlessly compelling. John Paul Jones adds orchestral majesty with his use of a mellotron to simulate string and brass sections, giving the song its grand cinematic scope. And over it all, Robert Plant delivers a vocal performance that is less singing and more a mystical, poetic narration, a traveler's tale from a distant land. From the sun-scorched desert, we now travel to a land of ice and snow for a Viking battle cry that became the definitive heavy metal war charge. 19. Led Zeppelin, Immigrant Song. It begins with a sound of pure panic, a ghostly, swirling hiss, and Robert Plant's chilling, wordless wail. Then the hammer drops. That relentless, staccato, galloping riff from Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones, locked in perfect, brutal sync with John Bonham's driving beat. Immigrant Song, the opening track to Led Zeppelin III, is 2 minutes and 26 seconds of pure, unadulterated aggression. It's the sound of a Viking horde preparing for battle. Inspired by the band's concert tour of Iceland, the lyrics are a direct reference to Norse mythology, with talk of Valhalla, hammers of the gods, and sweeping a sailing to new lands. Plant's vocal performance is astonishing, a high-pitched, primal scream that cuts through the mix like a battle axe. This was Led Zeppelin at their most direct and ferocious, stripping away the blues and psychedelia for a blast of pure proto-metal fury. And now we arrive at the beginning. Our final song is not just a track on an album. It is a ground zero, the patient zero of heavy metal, a song so dark and so revolutionary it gave a new genre its name and its soul. 20. Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath, the sound of rain, a distant church bell tolling, and then the riff. 3 simple, ominous notes. The tritone, an interval so dissonant it was known in the Middle Ages as Diabolus in Musica, the devil in music. This is how the world was introduced to Black Sabbath. The title track from their self-titled debut album is not just the first song on the first album, it is the birth of heavy metal itself. The song is the sound of pure, unadulterated dread. Tony Iommi's guitar tone is thick and sludgy, the result of him tuning down his strings to ease the pressure on his famously injured fingertips. Bill Ward's drumming is sparse and jazzy, adding to the unsettling atmosphere, while Geezer Butler's bass follows the riff into the abyss. And then there is Ozzy Osbourne, his panicked, nasal wail delivering a terrifying tale of a figure in black pointing at him. What is this that stands before me? It's a figure in black, which points at me. It's a genuine expression of horror.